India's budget is more than just numbers. It's a roadmap for the country's future. In this video, we'll be discussing about the main proposals, the main priorities, also called kartavyas by the finance minister. And we'll also discuss how the budget impacts the different sectors of the everyday life. Right? Let's dive deep into it. Hello, everybody. This is Samvid Naarayan, and welcome to Samvid Money Minds. Was going to be focusing on coconut, wherein a new promotion scheme for the promotion of coconut is going to be launched, wherein they are going to be replacing the non-productive trees, right? They are going to be replacing the non-productive trees with the improved varieties in the coconut growing states like Kerala. Right. Second, focusing on cashew nut and cocoa. There's going to be a dedicated program to reduce the dependence of cashew nut import by strengthening their processing in the indigenous in India, and thereby creating premium global brands by 2030. This is with respect to the cashew nuts. Now, moving on to the sandalwood, there is going to be a sandalwood revival wherein the scientific farming methods is going and improved harvest post harvest processing is going to be happening through the partnership with the state governments, right? So last but not the least, there is going to be a new Bharat Vistar app, which is going to be multilingual, uh, which aims in integrating AgriStack portals with the Indian Council of Agricultural Research Practices for the betterment of farmers. So, with respect to the MSME sector, was planning to revive 200 legacy industries clusters through the infrastructure upgradation and technology enhancement. She also announced a container manufacturing scheme in order to align India with the global infrastructure system. For this purpose, there is going to be a separate self-reliant fund of which will have an initial outlay of 4,000 crores in order to support the or strengthen the finance of MSME, which are lacking credit support. Right. I want to introduce two terms here. One is TREDS, which is a trade receivable discounting system, which is an RBI regulated platform in order wherein you can convert your debtors, right, from whom you have to receive money. You can discount that particular debtors and convert them immediately into your cash. Right, this is going to be merged with government e-marketplace, so that the already initiated 7 lakh crores will be merged into a single platform for the central public sector enterprises, CPSEs, as I have mentioned in the slide, in order to introduce credit guarantee support to enable faster financing. Right? These measures, the government expects that these measures will improve liquidity, encourage the development of a secondary market, and overall transaction efficiency is expected to improve in this particular regard. So that is the reason they are integrating TREDS with the GEM. Right, and also 4,000 crore outlays, the initial outlay for the self-reliant fund. The government is expected to add more and more outlay in the fund. Right. Moving on to the third thing, which is the manufacturing sector. With regard to the manufacturing sector, there is expected to be a 10,000 crore allocation for this for the biopharma Shakti. which is a 5-year strategy for improving the global biopharma, biopharmaceutical farming with around 1,000 plus trial sites in India. Now, this is with regard to the pharma industry. Now, moving on to the second, which is for 40,000 crore is going to be allocated for the electronic components product. The initial outlay was in the previous or in the retrospective or in the previous budgets was 22,919 crores. Now this is increased to 40,000 crores in order to support the domestic electronic farming. Third, there's going to be a massive capital expenditure of 12.2 lakh crore in order to continue the infrastructure push to aid manufacturing. Not only that, with regard to the textile sector, a scheme for enhancement of I'm sorry, this is not with regard to the textile sector. With regard to the construction sector, there's going to be a new scheme for enhancement of construction and infrastructure equipment in order to strengthen the domestic manufacturing of high value products. With regarding to there is also plans to of introduction of new schemes for the rare earth permanent magnet as well. Right. Also, for the textile sector, there is going to be an integrated program in order to there's going to be an integrated program in order to boost the textile sector as well, wherein the first there is going to be five subparts in it. The first is National Fiber Scheme, National Handloom and Handicraft Program. There's going to be a Textile Eco Initiative. There's going to be something called Mahatma Gandhi Gram Swaraj Initiative, and also there's going to be a Samarth 2.0, which is going to be introduced. Right. Overall, there's also going to be a scheme for container manufacturing to create with a budgetary allocation of 10,000 crores, as I already told you. Okay. Now, moving on to the education sector, education and healthcare reforms. On to the education and healthcare sector reforms. According to the budget, there is going to be an allocation of 1,39,286 crore, which has a 8.7 percentage increase from the previous budget for the overall education. Out of which, for school education, there's going to be an allocation for 83,561 crores, which has a 6.35% increase, and higher education allocation is 55,725 crores, which has a 11.28% increase. And for the healthcare sectors, there's going to be a allocation of 1,04,599 crores. Right? The reforms that are bought in is one. There's going to be a girls' hostel in each and every district. Number two, there's going to be a new National Institute of Design in the northeastern states. Number three, there's going to be content lab in 15,000 schools across India. The region is not decided yet. That will be intimated in the short while. Fourth, there's going to be 5 university townships near the industrial centers. I think this aims for the more practical approach for bridging the gap between academics and practicality. 5. There's also going to be 3 new AIMS colleges, as you might know, and 3 Ayurveda institutes. And more importantly, there's going to be 1,000, as I mentioned in the previous slides, there are going to be 1,000 accredited clinical trials sites that are going to be formed. And more importantly, there's going to be a second NIMHANS for mental health. As you were, if you had watched the budget at this particular point of time when Nirmala Sitharaman is presenting the healthcare reforms, she focused more on mental health and trauma rather than the physical health. Right. So NIMHANS is nothing but the National Institute of Medical I mean, not medical health, National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. It is in Bangalore. They are also planning to establish one more branch of it in some part of India. Now, moving on to the infrastructure reforms, one is there are going to be seven high-speed rail corridors, including the Mumbai Pune, the Delhi Varanasi, the Chennai Bangalore, and there's also going to be uh, a corridor which is connecting the east to west. I remember the west to be Surat. I don't remember the east part of India, whatever the place was said. Right. So more importantly, there are going to be 20 new national waterways, wherein the coastal cargo scheme to under the coastal cargo scheme, in order to raise the inland transport share to 12 percentage by 2047. With regard to the regional growth, 12 lakh crore of under the Purvodaya scheme for the East Coast under industrial corridor is going to be allocated. So whatever I have mentioned here, that is SASKI, which is nothing but the scheme for support of capital expenditure of states in India. That is what is the scheme of SASKI here. There is going to be a 2 lakh crore of support given by the central government to the state, and more importantly, the Purvodaya initiative for East Coast Industrial Corridor is also planning to develop. Now, coming to our subject in Samvid Money Minds, which is the financial and tax sector reforms. First is there are some key changes which I would like to discuss. The first one is the TDS exemption for senior citizens is increased to 1 lakh crore. Right. Second, this is as per section 194A of the Income Tax Act. Now, second, this is as per section 194I of Income Tax Act, the rent TDS is increased. The rent TDS limit is increased to 6 lakhs, right? And overseas remittance scheme, that is the LRS, the tax collected at source from that particular scheme is increased from 7.5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, right? And the minimum alternate tax, which is nothing but the minimum alternate tax, the concept is this, wherein if the government is giving deductions to the companies, right, and the companies using the deductions may also evade the tax because with the tax that are being computed by the companies, and subtracting this deduction from the tax computer, the tax may arrive at a particular point of zero. In order to avoid the evasion of the companies, the government will ask the companies to pay a minimum tax based on their book profits, right? This is the concept of the minimum alternate tax. That particular percentage is decreased from 15% to 14%. And buyback, which did not used to be taxed as a capital gain. Now, coming to the point of buyback, wherein the buyback before up to 30th September 2024, the buyback was taxable in the hands of the companies. Now, between the period of 30th September 2024 until the modification under the budget, it was taxed as deemed dividend, wherein it will be completely exempt. But now the buyback is taxed as the under the head capital gains as per the Income Tax Act, right? This is one, and more importantly, with respect to the overseas with respect to the overseas remittance disclosure window, there's a 6 months window which are which is allowed, and for the foreign assets of not less than 1 crore. right? And there is 30 percentage tax for this. There's no penalty or prosecution of this. So this prosecution is removed from 1st October 2024. And the income tax return due dates for the individual is extended to 31st July, and for non-audit tax cases, the business and trust, it is extended to 31st August. And more importantly, for the sale of property by the non-resident individuals, there used to be something called temporary account number. But from this particular budget, there's no need for a temporary account number. The PAN number will be deemed as can be given as a replacement for temporary account number. Right? And this and also, there is going to be a tax holiday for foreign cloud service providers till 2047. Foreign cloud service providers, the example is Zoho. Right, so for companies like Zoho, there's going to be a complete tax holiday until 2047. Right, now, there's something called ICDS, which is the ICDS is the standards issued by s- the Central Board of Direct Taxes. Now, the ICDS is also merged into Indian accounting standards from the assessment year of 27 to 28. Right, and there's also something called a set of that can be done, which is the tax that you can pay can be set off under with the any other head of income. For example, if you have to pay a tax in salaries, you can set it off with the loss that is arising from the head of capital gains. Okay, there are five heads, namely salaries, PGBP, income from house properties, income from other sources, and capital gains. For example, you're earning some amount of tax in salaries that can be set off with the with the head of capital gains, that is called set off, and that set off is limited to which used to be 2 lakhs is now limited to one fourth of the entire tax liability. Okay, this is what is all about the uh, this is what's all about the key tax changes. Now, the target of debt to GDP ratio is 50% plus or minus 1% by 2030. And the fiscal deficit, the target is declining from 4.4 percentage. In my opinion, the budget was a forward looking budget, and it was not a tax oriented budget, it was a reform oriented budget, as I could see. So the emphasis were on capital expenditure, the MSME support, agriculture, the infrastructure expenditure, infrastructure oriented, the sports oriented, and many reforms were introduced. Right, so I expected some tax reforms in this particular budget. Unfortunately, there were no tax reforms. Right, so this is my opinion. Two things that I wanted to say before I close this entire video. One is, since you have been watching this particular channel, I have customized something called Samvid Finance GPT, which explains the economic news from various newspapers, consolidates it, and explains it in a very very simple language, like a neighborhood friend. Right. So I have provided a link to this in the description below. You can go ahead. So please start using it. This is one thing that I wanted to tell you. And the second thing that I wanted to tell you is, I have also given a link to something called SAM Guide to the Union Budget. Right. So whatever is presented in the entire budget, because the finance minister gave a speech of 90 minutes. If I give the speech of 90 minutes, obviously all of my viewers will, of course, go to sleep. Right. So I have consolidated the entire budget into a 23-page document. As you can see here, it is called a SAM Guide to Union Budget, right? So I have also provided a link to this link in the description below. You please do go ahead and read it out for the better understanding of the budget, right? The PPT link is also provided in the description below, and the Samvid Finance GPT's link is also provided in the description below, right? And I have also given the link to my social media handles. You can go ahead and leave your feedback in my social media handles there, right? And also, please do leave your feedback in the comment section below. I hope you gained some insights about the budget. Please do go ahead and read the document, because so much effort have been put in that particular document, right? So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. This is Samvid signing off from Samvid Money Minds. Goodbye, take care, and cheers. Thank you.